doing? My name is George. So I'm doing some video. You've probably seen them on the YouTube channel. I just been kind of matching them in. And since I've got time here, I got to thinking about it, and I was talking to my wife about it. But this is probably the best time to do these videos because once I get back to the United States, that developed country mess is going to be in my face, and it'll take my mind away from the experiences that I had. So right now, I got here in, let's say, July of 2022. So, we're pushing up on the 4-year mark at this point. But I'm going to cover some points, and I want to share these with you for everybody that's thinking about coming to the Philippines. And this is going to be a very relaxed, nonchalant. I'm trying to do content to sell you something. I'm not that type of person. Everybody that I've done business with here in the logistics community, because that's what my main background is. That's how I make my money, actually. And but what we're going to do is go over the things that I've seen. I experienced the whole 9 yards in 4 years. Gives you a lot of insight. I'm not a homebody. Now, my wife is definitely a house cat. That type of deal, which is great for me. I don't have to worry about her being at some hooker in some bar. This is going to be probably very cold, callous, going to piss off a lot of people. I'm sorry about that. I'll apologize ahead of time. But if you didn't want it to be like this, you should have given me a better reflection of what your culture is. We got our own problems in the United States. So I'm not sitting here hating them. But that being said, people don't like what they see when they see somebody else's opinion of what they see. So the first thing I want to go over is basically my daily life. Understand kind of what I deal with. I've got 3 monitors here. So 1, 2, 3. And I'm reading off one. And I got obviously my business over here on this one. And we're just going to kind of go through it. And you see the little QR code? That right there is if you want to actually get a hold of us. It actually takes you to truckdrivernation.com, which is our website, where we actually teach people freight dispatching, truck driver recruiting, things that people here have learned from us. They take our courses and stuff. So we train them on how we do what we do. Time difference is always pretty rough on them. But the thing is, a lot of people came here not prepared to live outside the United States. I didn't come here trying to be prepared to live outside the United States. When I got here, so I met somebody in the United States, and I can't even tell you how many years. I think it's something like 5 years talking to this person. And she always seemed to be a good person. She lived in a bad situation. And I always felt like, oh my gosh, oh, by the way, the title, give it to you real quick. It is literally the real experience, not sugarcoating. So, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But anyways, I met the girl, and it was about 5 years. And I'm sorry, God, but this is the Philippines. If you can't kick back, well, I need to listen to me anyway. But that being said, it was 5 years that I met this girl and had spent all that time, learning who she was and all this stuff. And I get here. I literally sold my truck and everything. I got here. So I was scammed. Let's just keep it in a nutshell. So I'm not trying to dodge something that's happened in my life. My life is my life. We all got our own paths. And whatever they turn out to look like, you should have prepped better. That's your hindsight. It's not mine. But that being said, that happened. I get here. The girl apparently already married somebody from Canada. I had actually, basically I had to leave Manila. That's where I met her at, or that's where we met up at. Even though she was from a southern island, whether she was always from that southern island, these days it's hard to tell. But I wasted a lot of money chasing the belief that there was a good person out there fit for me. So, anyways, I ended up going south. Ended up going down to Cebu and met somebody there. The first night I was there, I was literally got off, went to a hotel, got out of the hotel, went to a place. It was like a little bar just right across the street. And I said, well, I just got here. I was excited about being in a new city. I was like, okay, I'll leave that behind me. And kind of heartbroken. Your mind's all shattered. You just thought you'd come here, get the paperwork, go back home because I'm in logistics, and everything would be fine. And that's not what it turned out to be. So got here and ended up meeting somebody, and the person was good at first. Helped me get an apartment, condo. Didn't know where I was at. Didn't know what areas were good. I was going off other people's understanding of what I was needing. And in the United States, we try to help people out. Like say, for example, if I got a friend or even somebody I know, and they know it's a good place for them to be, I'll give my suggestion. But anyways, got settled down, and the person's personality started changing, and everything was good, you know, but it started getting worse and worse. And I met a friend from the United States. They worked for in the Philippines. He worked for T-Mobile, and he said, "Dude, I'm gonna tell you straight." And he was real serious. So he said, "Look, you really need to leave there." I said, "Why do I need to leave? I've already set everything up. I've got TVs, you know what I mean? I've set my house up. I bought all this stuff here. I didn't bring nothing with me, and that was not it wasn't a ton of money, but you know, it was at least $3,000 or $4,000." And he said, "Oh, you need to leave that area. I'm telling you, they're gonna get you in some trouble." I was like, "That's all I need to hear, trouble." I didn't want to be a part of anything inside of another country. So I went back to Manila, and we went up toward Pampanga, which was a totally different area, and that's where I went again. So running around the Philippines, all this good stuff, and then to turn out, I got ready to go to renew my visa. I'm trying to shorten it up, and they had a warrant for my arrest. They didn't even know what it was for. I had done nothing to nobody. I literally haven't done nothing to nobody. So this individual decided to make false charges on me for acts of lasciviousness. That means unwanted sexual gesture or whatever they did. I never did get clarification on how you like that. Go to jail, but ended up sitting there 3 months because I was in Manila. The charge was in Cebu. 6 weeks to get bonded out. Okay, if you're not from the United States, it takes that long. And a lot of people will probably be ashamed of this. I don't care. I didn't do nothing. I'm not going to die in my head because I have nothing to be ashamed of. Just being crossing the wrong people, you know. And I've learned a lot in the Philippines about keeping my circle small. The United States, I'm open to everybody. And even here, I was open. Here, what do you do? This is what I do. This is what I've done for my career. This is the schools I went to and all this stuff. But I found out you just can't do that. So don't let nobody into your head to understand who you are. They're not going to understand anyways. After hindsight, to realize I'm coming from a planet. Literally, the United States is its own planet versus these third worlds. Okay. But anyways, 6 weeks in the first jail, got moved to the second one. Right as soon as we get out, they transfer me. How coincidental. It was like it's all set up to be just like that, right? So anyways, took me to the second one, took another 6 weeks to get out. Great legal officer there. Don't know why he took me under his wing, kept me out of trouble, because I was fighting in this prison. I mean, I like to fight anyways, because I don't like people trying to dominate their whatever on me. I'll do whatever it is if we're in agreement, whatever, but that's what ended up turning out to be. So he basically put security on me to keep everybody off me, because I was beating the hell out of a lot of people in the prisons, and I felt bad about it, but they come 3 or 4 at a time, and I'm a redneck, so it turned out to be what it is, and I'm not proud of it, but that being said, I want to know you understand what you're going to face, because their idea of civility is not our idea. Yeah, I know in our prisons there's a lot of stupidity in there. I've been in jail in the United States before. But that being said, everybody gets arrested in the United States. It don't take nothing that if they want to suck money out of you, they're going to get you wrapped up in the system. And that's what they want. You know, don't think that you're out of 8 billion people on the planet that they care about you. You're just another number inside the United States. I love my country. Ex-military, the whole 9 yards. I love my country. But anyways, that being said, finally got out, went to court. At first I was resistant. I didn't want to pay the money. I wasn't going to pay the money, but I found out it's going to take 2 years to settle the case, and I wasn't going to be hung under somebody's thumb for 2 years. So I took the settlement, ended up being $4,000. After that, back into my regular track of life. So anyways, as soon as that happened, I actually ran into Maria. Maria worked at Domino's Pizza. There was very few places you could get food that was American. The food here is crap for the most part. They don't have season. You know, you're talking about, I'm right there in New Orleans. I know what good food is. They just don't have it. Very few things can I actually adjust to. I don't know. From what I'm getting, the country's so poor, they can't afford the seasons that we actually are able to get a hold of. And, you know, if I don't like it, I'm an American. If I don't like it, I'm not going to eat it. I'm not just going to say, oh, that's tasty. And it sucks. Okay, why would I lie to you? I don't want you to lie to me. So I give them exactly what it is. With that being said, there's a couple of things I have found off the dish. Almost everything here is fried. Not a lot of stuff that's being grilled outside. Chicken and pork is the main 2 things that they eat here. So if you don't like chicken and pork, that's going to be another drawback. But that being said, I met Maria, and We've been together for 3 years now. So it's been great. Ups and downs, absolutely. You don't understand me all the way. And the thing is, when we get back to the United States, it's going to be completely culture shock on what I am here and what I am there. You know, in the United States, completely absorbed into logistics. So I've got lots of contacts for lots of carriers. Some of them I haven't been able to keep the contracts up because of just the simple not being able to see people eye to eye. You know how it is when you're looking at somebody eye to eye. The overall connection is there. Here it's just a distant phone call. But that being said, this is going to be like the introductory to what we're talking about when it comes to this, on what my experience has been so far. I drove trucks for 24 years and kind of got out, started doing truck driver recruiting, and I knew the freight dispatching and the brokerage side. I just never engaged it. It wasn't until here that I actually went back and reconsidered it on really how to do it. But that being said, we'll cover things more in depth as we go along. Now, that's the short nutshell of the. There's been a lot of good in there. A lot of beautiful places we went to, stayed in some beautiful resorts. Some great people that I've run into. Some of them I will probably be lifelong friends with, that type of thing. But I'm going to cover a couple of issues that you're going to see that you may not expect. So, this I call daily life reality check. First thing is clothing. Okay, clothing is going to be a problem because you're from the United States, you're a big person. Okay, we eat good. So, pants, big problem. Can't even find the waist size. Lengthwise, you can find your length, but the overall, the girth of who we are, you can see an American coming. So, you're going to have to go and plan on Amazon, eBay, those type of things. So, make sure that you have access to the clothes that you'll need to get because it's really expensive bringing that stuff in from Amazon. Shirts, literally these shirts, these are the type of shirt that they actually make here. But where the material comes from, I don't know, but they can put all these logos, these logos on here, and obviously you put them on your shoulder, and obviously have one on the back, advertising. Now this is the reason I wear this one is because it's just one that fits real well. The other ones, the collars are bigger size, they don't adjust the collars correctly, they can actually get wider. So shirts is a big problem for me. They do have S&R, which is supposed to be a sister or knockoff of Costco from some degree like that. They get stuff that come in, but there's so many people that are here that are expats and stuff, they hit it pretty hard. So those bigger sizes go out really quick. And the sizes are not the same. Like large, extra large are not extra large. They are very close to being mediums or something. They will suck you in, they're really tight clothes. Let's see. Boots and stuff, we ordered them offline. Didn't have much choice about that one. Import items, anything that you're going to buy that's imported, we're talking about from Rice Krispies to Cheerios. I know things are expensive at home. I've got the story from my mother and my brothers and everybody. I understand it's expensive. But take that and bump it up probably about 100%. That's about what the markup is. Tailoring does become necessary, but you got to find you a good tailor. We found the first one. She half did her job to expand the pants that I did manage to find that were close to my size. Very poor workmanship. A lot of things are poor workmanship. People always want to get paid before they do the job. That's a big problem. So keep that in mind. And it's going to sound like it's a lot negative because that's all I really have to offer. A lot of this stuff, if it's been positive, I give the positive aspect, but I'm realistic about what I'm telling you. Another thing, making money here, you need to make sure that you know how you're going to make your money, even if you're coming out over time, okay? I'm going to be harsh. For you to come here and look like a Filipino, that's not going to work for you. Unless you're like used to living on camp, and I'm from the country. Camp in the woods, we lived on the riverbanks, deer hunting, the whole 9 yards. Raised on a farm, okay? Slopped in all of the animal crap and everything else, handling all that. But when I'm telling you that you're living like a Filipino, you're worse than the worst probably slums that we have. Okay, it's bad. It's not being mean, it's being realistic. Other people say, well, I got this. But do you notice they're not showing you where they're living at? And if you get a condo, you can own that condo, but you have to understand this, you're on the ring of fire. Anybody that thinks that you're going to stand in a 20-something, 30-something story building and it's not going to shake that thing and bring it to the ground, I don't get where you're getting at. Okay, I've looked at designs, I've looked at how, if the earth shakes, you know, what's going to keep that structure level and everything. I don't care what they say. Okay, those buildings do collapse. Last earthquake we had here, the buildings collapsed and killed a bunch of people at some of them. So don't let them delusionize you on that aspect. And what you see on YouTube, that's somebody pitching something. They're trying to get likes or hits or whatever they do in that social media atmosphere. That's not what this is. Okay. Yes, beautiful water. Yes, beautiful islands. But when you get animals on it, like humans, that infest the planet, and we basically have killed the planet, and anybody out of concept with that is delusionizing themselves too. When we go down to the beach to look at fish, they're basically menace. And those species of fish get actually really, really big. And I literally asked them, because it offends me, because I'm used to the Department of Wildlife Fisheries. That's the reason all of our ecosystems in the United States is so much better, because we do have those organizations protecting our wildlife. So protect them from me, because I would probably kill stuff as well if I had that opportunity. But that being said, I'm glad they have that on our shoulders to make us behave according to what really is the heartbeat of the earth, I feel. So keep that in mind. But when you come here, make sure you know how you're going to make money. I've got people that I've seen people, Americans on the streets, they don't have nobody to help them, and ain't nobody going to help them anyways, because as a poor people, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And here, I didn't come here to surround myself with nobody, but what I did find out is the way I'm viewed is obviously out of the context of the environment that I was raised in, but they see me as an ATM. And so, my wife, she understands who I am. She's got a better understanding. She's learned logistics from day one. She started learning logistics. She didn't believe me how much we made, because what we make is a fortune to them. Because if we're not making 4,000 or 5,000 a week minimum, obviously we can make more than that. Based on what I do, sometimes we make upwards of $50,000 a month. But that's the reason I actually teach people how to do what I do. I give them everything, but a lot of people don't have the work ethic that I have. So I'm a workaholic, probably so. Probably the best thing for me to keep me out of trouble. Heat, air, environment's crap. Right now there's a volcano. I don't know if that ash is everywhere, but it's pretty rough. The air quality is poor. There is no emissions. There's black, whether it's a diesel or gas burner, black and white smoke where they've almost dropped the valves or blown the rings on the vehicle, or it's just not combusting all the fuel and you got pure black smoke coming out the rear of these vehicles. That's going to be a big problem here. So it'll affect you. Riding motorcycles is a big way to get transportation, but the heat is so bad that basically the morning time, evening time is the only way you can motivate yourself around, unless you're renting a car. I wouldn't buy nothing here if you know that this is just a transition that you're spending here to get the feel for the environment, that type of thing. But I'm gonna tell you, I've been in some of the worst slums that there are, and the rich people that think they're rich really aren't rich. I've seen the way they live. It is nothing like the way that we, live in the United States, and we really do have such a better quality of life. And so that's when, students or people want to learn for dispatch. I'm like, you got to understand, you come from the hierarchy of society. What else we got? Aircon struggles. The dirt clogs these aircons up. You have to get them cleaned pretty often. Often the electricity is higher than what you would expect. Yeah, we're paying about $200 a month. I know that's not nearly what you pay in the United States, but the thing is, we run everything 24/7. You have no choice; it stays hot. Dust pollution, air quality. We went over that. Natural risk: earthquakes, volcanoes, and typhoons. Every one of them are here, alive and well. So. The water is a big issue. We got salt water coming out of the ground, drilled well, salt water coming out of the ground. We got a 1,500-liter tank that we get fresh water delivered in that we don't drink. We use the bay, clean dishes and stuff in, but I wouldn't drink it. There's too many secondary elements in there that are like dolomite is a big one here. All this volcanic lands. So keep that in mind. But we have the water from purification stations. They got the three-step purification with the UV to kill the microbial portion of it. But we drink it, but I try to drink a lot as much as I can out of bottle stuff, which that don't mean crap anyways. But just be prepared. Water, is life. So keep that in mind when it comes to that. So the water supply is absolutely consistent. And then we have, that would be the three ones that we use. So we use salt water to wash down all the concretes and everything like that. We tried to discuss it with the lady that we rented this place from, and so we're rinsing everything down with salt water. And the lady don't seem to understand it's eating her property up. It's made out of concrete, so whatever. It's their property. Rolling brownouts, we bought $1,000, just over $1,000 generator. Then we had to run electrical and everything to a cutoff breaker box outside, the main breaker box, and then we ran that for the slitter right here. We ran that to the house, so when the power goes off, we turn the main breaker off, so we're not getting outside power from the weatherhead. Then we turn on the generator, and then we flip on the outside breaker, and then start flipping on the breakers individually based on what we're needing. So you're going to have brownouts, and when you have them, and it's a hot day, you got to have a generator. The generator doesn't get used that much. And it's not quiet. We got one that wasn't silent, and so I had to build a concrete box around it that literally pitched that sound another direction than here at the house. But it has a Briggs and Stratton motor in it, and it seems to be doing okay. Need a backup system, generators, storage tanks. Yeah, I almost feel like I'm living off grid to some degree outside the electricity. So all my stuff's diesel powered. So I keep big jugs of diesel fuel as backup in case of typhoon or whatever. But if it's an earthquake, obviously I leave this area. I'm right beside the ocean. I'm in the inner structure on the islands, so I don't really fear a tsunami to some degree, but I don't never put a tsunami test anywhere. Big enough wave, I don't care where it's coming from, it's going to be big enough to cover this area. So I'm really, I'm literally two sides of me. I got almost, I'm not saying a 90-degree, but I look right at the corner of an island, and it's two directions that the ocean's coming in at me, So keep that in mind. What else we got? Cost of living, yes, but I spend about $3,000 a month for overall cost of living. The reason we spend that much is because we have a business, and our biggest overall expenses are going to be our VoIPs. That's our communication lines, and we got 4 ways to back up the internet, so we don't never go down because we're in logistics. We do freight dispatching and everything. We have a school that we made, so that's the reason we have so many in that direction. Also, bulk texting, because we use aggregate systems to produce our leads. But you remember you got the TCR, the campaign registry, which gives us some issues. And so that being said, we have to send out lots of links, lots of inquiries. Do they want to receive more information? And do they want to attend webinars? So we found out doing webinars, so many people doing one-on-one is not the best way. I'm going to be telling you, even when I'm breathing a lot, talking a lot, this right here really gets wore down. Although it's my diaphragm or my chest, so speaking all the time, I'm 55 years old, so it wears me down. So that's the reason we did it in that type of sequence. DHL, oh my gosh, y'all, extremely expensive. You got any documentation, especially for this visa that we're doing, we found out that's extremely expensive, about $100 every single both ways. So it's really expensive. Electronics, supplements, Western lifestyle. Electronics, I've had to learn to really fix my computers because you're not going to get the quality of computers are there, but it's better off just, we're already close to China, you can get the components, just watch the YouTube videos outside of whatever skill set you've already have in hand if you're going to work on the internet, because the internet is going to be it. You're not getting a job here. What are you going to be working for a paycheck? We're talking about a truck driver here gets paid around $9 a day. That's working a full 12-hour shift, running these roads. That's insane. Even the United States average back in the 70s, it was $48. Now in 2026, it's somewhere around $24 to $28, maybe $30 an hour. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Renting a house, you have to do 1 month advance, and then 1 month for the final payment, and then 1 month for the payment that you're in. So it's 3 payments you're making when you rent a house. Now our house here, I will literally show you, it's an ugly, ugly house. But the only reason I took this house is because it got me away from people. I'm in a compound. But if I go out here, not even 100 yards, I've got poverty and kids everywhere. I mean, they need shoes, they go to school and everything. Based on their quality of life, they're used to it. That's sucky to say that, but that's the truth. But anyways, here, let me show you the home right. I'll give you a quick kind of brief thing here. We'll go 9. So here is, like, for example, if you don't know medicine, you need to. Going to the hospitals is fine, but you got to remember you get what you paid for. I think it's Korean hospitals that are better here, from what I'm getting. And then you got other hospitals that are Filipino staff. Some of them want to learn medicine from the United States. Some learn from here. But literally, like right here, you'll always find out. You always got projects because you don't just go down to the store and buy stuff. Everything, you better learn how to build it and do it yourself, or it's probably not going to happen. So you can see the paints and stuff. Those are wheels that are supposed to go onto a cart for that generator. But I decided not to do that. Literally, I have a little EKG monitor for like this one. It does a 3-lead EKG, and then it does blood pressure, oxygen, fat, and temperature. The reason I got that is obviously I guess I'll tell people I was trained in medicine. So that being said, that's one reason I got it. But I still keep manual stuff like a temperature, small finger pulse ox, which ain't none of this stuff. Remember, you get what you pay for. Type of deal. I got a blood pressure here, and I just keep an eye on myself. I'm not nearly as physical as I would be at home because it's hard to walk on the streets because it's just here. I don't want, if I put myself out there, it's going to cause problems. Okay, it's not that it causes problems every time. A lot of people are going to be nice and hospitable. It's not those people I'm worried about. It's those individuals. Okay, I got great neighbors here. I got an old man right here next door. He don't have blue. Maria gives him food when we can. He don't have food. He literally has ulcers because he don't have enough food. This place, the saying is rice is life. Okay, that's the saying. So they're dependent on rice, and rice controls the population as far as what I've seen. But anyways, that being said, I got another neighbor over here that built a new house. They think they're millionaires or whatever they are. Just arrogant people. I got in a fight with the wife. All I did was ask the lady to move her truck, and that's crazy. She went off the deep end of this rent and rate. I was like, dude, I don't need all this. Dude, I actually care less. Catch your house on fire, catch your car on fire. I don't care. All I need to do is get to my own house. And so that was my first experience with them. So I've segregated myself from them because, I just don't feel like fighting folks. You could be aggressive. Absolutely, we all can. But I just don't care about these people when it comes to that level of stupidity. And the thing is, it's going to be a racist. It's going to be one of those things. He's an American, and I don't know what they think racism is, but that's exactly what it is. When you don't get a fair shot and be equal to the people that are surrounding you, all people are your peers. Okay, I don't give a shit about what laws there are. Yes, you're under different laws because you're not a citizen here or you're not a retired. Where they do this other program, it's called an E something. I forget what it's called, but where you can retire here. I'm not hating on the Philippines and taking not to retire, okay? But you've got to be in a place where you're around people that got screw the money. If they manage to get money, however they got it, who cares? Because I know people in the United States that are scumbags that are ripping off people, and I'm not going to get off into that. But it's legal because they're doing business. But here, you got to have people with quality education. Remember, this is mainly Catholic. But there's obviously Baptists and Methodists and Jehovah's Witnesses. I see the boys running around. They do a 2-year stint. I don't know what that helps them understand life, but obviously that church feels like that they need to do it. They call it doing missionary work, but they're here to train them and teach them something. Flights are expensive and inconsistent. We go to different parks, different islands, stuff like that. Not all of them are expensive. Some are expensive. It's always still based on the bottom line. How much is fuel in the world, and then the other option is how quickly you get the ticket, you have any delay time before you get it, that type of deal. And local travel can be unreliable, so when the world shuts down, everything right here shuts down by around 9, so if you need the taxis and stuff, go a little bit longer, maybe to midnight, but after that, you are on your feet walking. So make sure that you always get yourself some reliable transportation. The last thing I'm going to go over for this particular video, just so you understand, is going to be money, business, survival. Transfer money gets really expensive. Okay, you got the exchange rate, and then you got the fees because I've got American bank accounts for Remitly, Western Union, and Wise. The main ones we use right now is Western Union. It's just the way it is. So if you try to get it on the best exchange rate days, there's no real way of telling that. So just know that you get fees on your net when it comes to that. So just use them. It's just kind of the way it is. I don't know what to tell you about that. You can't just stockpile a bunch of cash. And don't stockpile a bunch of cash. The most we get out at any one given point is $2,500. So that gives us that's roughly like 70, what is it? About 148 to 149,000 pesos, I think. That's what you end up with. That being said, I think I'm gonna bring it to the animals. So make sure that when you go in here, you can go to this right here. Got a QR code. Click on that. If you're in the Philippines or you want to come to the Philippines, please ask. I know this seems like a negative video, but it's literally my personal experience based on this. The other videos are going to be more positive. I'm going the other direction with what is there, but this has been the negativity. Feed everybody with a long handle spoon. Okay. Make sure you get revenue when you get here. Make sure you understand the housing conditions, environmental conditions, and I think you'd be okay. Okay. But it's not that I hate here. I just miss the United States. I love where I'm from. I love Colorado. I love Montana. I love New Orleans. Born in Mississippi, raised in Alabama. I love the South. But that being said, I want to experience this with my wife, get a motorhome, travel to the United States. Why? Because we got to be there for about 2 years. You can only leave in 6 months within that 24 months. Otherwise, her visa starts to be questioned. But after that, we'll probably be going down towards South America or something like that at that point. Just remember, if we go to the east or the west of the United States, you're either going to add time or subtract time based on the central time zone for the United States, and that becomes problematic when you're actually having to work for US dollars. That's the reason South America will be the next step for us once we go through all these transitions. Right now, from this date of this, we're looking at about 5 months, and we should be back in the United States, and that should be the longest that we're expecting. But you know how it is, real world, real life. Until it's in hand, it just don't exist. But anyways, if you want to go into our content, we have a lot of videos on learning how to freight dispatch. Out of all the things I've done, other stuff is nickel and dime. I wouldn't do it. Okay, I see a lot of people putting videos on these places about this, and that, and the other. I'm from the United States. I've got to make thousands of dollars per week, or that's not going to cut it for me. I'm not trying to live like a pimp or a king, but there's reality and the quality of life that you're used to. It doesn't make me better than nobody. It's just, I'm not going to live in a tent type of deal. And I've been that close. When I came out of that jail, I lost a lot of the advantages I had inside the logistics companies. And those companies I used to deal with, a lot of them were trying to downplay what they want to pay me. Because you're in the Philippines, you don't need as much money. Scumbag SOBs. Okay? So that being said, make sure you know who your social network is when you leave that United States that you can depend on. People that I thought I could depend on, I've seen their true colors and the way they've reached out and they barked at me. I had somebody bark at me I never would ever thought would ever barked at me if he had enough sense to himself. I've always reached out for everybody that I consider important in my life and try to help them, but don't think that they're your friends. Okay, you literally have to take that mindset. They've got their own ambitions, their own agendas. So I'm not trying to shoot down what it is. I'm just going to tell you, make sure you got real people that would die for you. They got your back wherever it's at. Like they say, hey, we got to probably go murder somebody. Okay, you're driving or am I driving? I'd say, whatever. So make sure that they're real. They're your real friends. Because you'll find out these things if you ever get in any situation in another country. Totally unanticipated, but I just want to share that with you so you can understand. If it happened to me, it sure can happen to you. It came out of the middle of nowhere. Don't open no business. Don't open food businesses. I'm giving you some highlights on what not to do. Don't open things where you think I'm going to work inside their community and open a business. Don't do it. Either the people are going to take, everybody's going to be trying to take from you, even if it was standard business. Being in the virtual world, everything is in your hands at all times based on the software. There's plenty of stuff to do here, but when you're actually in the virtual world, the way you do business is totally different. So you got to learn a whole new understanding of it. I pushed through it, and I continue to push through it. I continue to grow, and you can do it too. If I did it, you can. There's nothing more special about me than obviously yourself. We're both born on planet Earth, and we're trying to make it to the end game, to whatever stands beyond the sky and the stars, whatever it is that happens. Everybody's got their own belief in that, where they see things. But that being said, I'll leave it at this. I appreciate it. Make sure to visit Truck Driver Nation. Make sure to visit my website. And also even in YouTube, those things. And inside my website on the homepage, there's other places that we do. We do live TikToks, stuff like that. I like those videos. And if you want clear questions and answers, please shoot us topics that you want me to cover. I will actually make videos. So I'm building more of this content while I'm here. Because once I get to the United States, my mom won't film this no more. It'll be a transition back to being back in the motherland. But anyways, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Everybody be blessed. And thank you for watching this video.